Today on Coding with Carla, we're going to hit the main section of our website, wrap the whole thing up with the footer, and boom, we're going to have our very first website built. In our last video, we ended up with a completed header, and we still had no styles on our main section or our footer, and we're going to knock that out today. And when we're finished, it's going to look a lot like this, and we will be done with our very first website. And from here, we can just start to modify and make the website look any way we want and respond any way we want. So let's go ahead and get started on the main section of our website. You can see here is where our main section starts. And we have an article, we have the H3 and paragraph, all within this article. So let's go ahead and start here. I'm going to move my big head right out of the way. So let's start with our H3 tag. We're going to add a class in here, and we're going to call it, text-header. And we'll make that CSS over here, text-header. And let's just go ahead and make some padding of 25 pixels on the top and bottom. And the left and right, we don't need any, so we'll say 0. And then we're going to change the font size to 1.3 rem. And then we want that text to be in the middle, so we'll do text align, and we'll say center. So now let's go ahead and save this, and we'll save our index file. And real quick, we'll just jump over and we'll refresh and see how we look. Okay, good start, good start. Let's go ahead and now let's work on this paragraph tag. I'm going to do a little something different for the paragraph tag. Instead of adding a class to it, let's work with type selectors. So we can see here that we have an article. So we're going to call for the article tag here. And then we'll say a paragraph tag inside of that article. And I can use this because I've only got this one article. If we had a bunch of different articles throughout, you might want to consider something different. But in this case, just for practice and using the different type selectors, we're going to use this one. And I'm going to go ahead and say here we want a margin of 10 pixels on the top and bottom. And then on the left and right, let's use a percentage of 25 pixels. And now we can even do a font size of 1.15 rem. And also align that text to be centered. Okay, we are done with that very first section. So if I go back and we refresh again, now we have our text with 25% on each side, and it's all centered. It's just a little bit bigger. So now we're going to go ahead and work on these 3 trails. And when we're done, we want them to look like this. All the text, everything inside of a rounded off box with a color background. So let's get started there. So we've got each one of these are in a div, and all 3 of these divs are in a section. So let's start. I'm just going to make some room here so that I can show you what we're going to do. We're going to make a class called columns, because each one of those trails is next to each other, so they're columned out. There's going to be 3 columns. And I want that to display Flex. The Flexbox is a really powerful tool. It's amazing. I love it. We're not going to go into really big depth here, but we will go into it a lot deeper in the future. But for now, I just want to show you the power of it. So display flex, we're going to do a padding, and we'll say 250 pixels on the top and bottom, and we'll say auto. And then let's do a margin with 0 on the top and bottom, and we'll say 200 pixels on the left and right. Okay, now let's go ahead and assign that class to our section. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add classes to each one of these divs to make them turn into boxes. We only have to make one class and just apply it to each one of those. So we're going to go ahead and start by making a class called Trails. And then we're going to start with a background color. We're going to use RGBA again. I'm going to use a black background, but we're going to change the transparency so it's really light. So we'll go 255, 255, and 255, all separated by commas. And we'll go 0.3. So that's going to give us our background color. It'll be a nice transparent light gray. And then let's make our font color. Oops. Let's make it that 222. And then we're going to do a padding of 40 pixels. And we're going to do a margin of 0 on the top, and then 10 pixels on each side. Now we are going to work on our border. We're going to make that 2 pixels thick. It's going to be a solid border, and that's also going to have the color of 2s, which is that dark gray. Now we're going to do a border radius, and that's going to give us our rounded corners, and we're going to make that 8 pixels. Now let's set justify content to space between, or space around, I'm sorry, space around. And what this is going to do, it's going to work with Flexbox to give us a nice layout of our 3 columns. So anytime you use justify content, it has to be in correlation with display flex. If I have everything correct, we are missing the text align. Let's set that to center. Let's save, and let's just see where we're at with this. Okay. This looks very good. This looks exactly what we want it to do. And so what is next? Let's make some more room here. Now we're going to work on the images of those dogs. So right now our dogs are all big and they're squares. And what we want to happen is for all of them to fit on one line and have a nice circle around them. So let's go ahead and work on that next. We're going to make a class called dog-img for dog images. And we're going to say, again, display flex. Now this time, by default, Flexbox sets everything to columns. So we're going to tell this we want you to be a row. So we're going to say flex direction row. And then we're going to say justify content center. Let's check my notes here. That's it for that one. So let's go ahead and knock that back up a bit. Now, all of those images will be centered. However, we haven't changed the size of them or put a circle around them or anything. So before we look, let's do that next. So we want to actually call each image through the class. So what we're going to do is say class dog-image and then call that specific tag. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with our border radius. We're going to make that 50%. What 50% is going to do is it's going to make that picture a complete circle. And now what we want to do is specify the width into 15 VW, and that's going to be your viewport width. And then you're going to do your height of 25 VH, which is your viewport height. And we're going to do a margin of 0 on the top and bottom and 5 pixels on the left and right. So now let's go ahead and save that and jump over to our HTML. We need Flexbox to be on the outside of these images. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw in a div here. And we're going to make it a class of dog-img. I'm going to take this closing div tag, cut that out, and put it underneath our image. Let's clean this up a little bit here. And just to make it easier to read, we'll indent these just a bit. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I actually skipped right over our H3 tag. And this is going to use the same CSS that our other H3 tags used. So let's go ahead and just throw that in there real quick before we move on and say class text-header. All right, let's jump over and see how we're doing. Okay, there we go. We've got really cute little dogs here all in a row with a circle. We've got our H3 tag in good shape. So let's go ahead and finish up. So now we've got this paragraph tag. This is about walking on our trails, we donate, etc., etc. Just hit enter a bunch of times so that we can get this up a little higher for you. Now let's make this a class of charity. And we're going to say margin 10 pixels on the top and bottom. And we'll say 100 pixels on the left and right. And then we're going to make a padding of 25 pixels and 200 pixels on the top and bottom. And then last but not least, we're going to change our font size to 1.1 rem. Now let's go ahead and update our paragraph tag. We'll refresh. Okay, there we go. We are done with the main section. Now let's knock out the footer and we're going to have a website. I'm going to hit enter a bunch of times again to give us some room to work with. And we're going to just start with a class of footer. It's exactly what it's for. Why be crazy with the names? So again, because it's so handy, we're going to use display flex, and we're going to use justify content, and we're going to use space around. Now we're going to align items, and this is another command that's going to work with display flex. We're going to call it center, and this is going to give us a nice horizontal center. Now we're going to text align and center. Let's work with a color. We're going to use that smoky gray color. Now we use a background color of the 2's. And now let's make this a specific height. That's not a word. Of 200 pixels. Now 20 viewport height. So now down here in our footer section, let's apply this class. Class equals footer. We'll save both of these out. And just kind of see where we're at. We're not there yet, but we're close. Sister's texting me, sorry. Well, we're close. Background color didn't apply. Let's take a look. Uh-oh, I see it already. I threw in an X there for some reason. I got crazy. Oh, I did it again. There we go. Now it looks right. Always look for your typos. If you see something that should work, it's usually either a missing semicolon or you accidentally hit a key you didn't mean to. So troubleshooting 101 right there. All right. So we do have these weird bullet points next to our menu. So let's go ahead and fix that. We can see here that we have in our footer some list items. So let's just say class of footer with the list items. And that is, we'll say text decoration of none, and list style type also of none. And the list style type is going to take away our bullets for us. Let's see, that should there we go. All right. Let's do a quick comparison. I think the only thing left is to change the color here, the original color. And if you like this color, you could always leave it. Or you can say class footer and anything with an A tag. You want that initial color to be the same. Jump over and do a final refresh. There we go. Congratulations. You have just built your very first website. It seems like just yesterday we started this project and now we have a completed page top to bottom, fully styled, and it looks great. Congratulations. Next time, we're going to actually add some media queries so that it responds on different devices and looks great no matter where you're viewing it. We're going to actually use that concept every single time from now on. Mobile first, and then we'll go to tablet and we'll build out all the way to desktop, because almost everybody uses a mobile device, so it's easier to start there. So that's what we're going to do from now on. But in the next video, we're going to throw in some media queries and make this desktop version respond to mobile. So thanks for joining us on Coding with Carla. Come back next time, and I can't wait to see you.